our last candidate for the evening, so let me introduce him to all of you. So, next up is Eric Michael Garza. Eric Michael Garza is running for Texas House 125, and he is challenging Democrat Ray Lopez. So, welcome, Eric Michael. I'm so glad you're here. Tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're running for office.
Absolutely. Hi, good evening. I'm Eric Michael Garza, and I'm running to serve as state representative for District 125. District 125 is entirely in San Antonio, really the northwest part of San Antonio. From education to healthcare to the notorious Texas power grid, which we've heard a lot of tonight, I feel that our elected leaders have failed us. I'm running to serve District 125 because I believe that Texans deserve better or more from their representative. State representatives' primary responsibility is creating, amending, and passing laws. And I'm an ideal candidate for that role because of my legal training and experience. I'm a licensed attorney, specifically a litigator. So in addition to providing me with a deep understanding of the legal system, my professional training and experience helped me to develop skills in advocacy, persuasive communication, conflict resolution, all important and transferable skills to the role of a representative. As a state representative, I will prioritize public education policy, aggressively advocating for adequate and equitable funding for our public schools, including increases to salaries for educators and the professionals that support them. So in addition to education policy, I want to address other real issues affecting the residents of our district, such as lowering the number of uninsured Texans, as we've heard about tonight, and helping seniors who are living on fixed incomes. It's important for everyone to understand these are not just political talking points for me, but rather policy changes that are influenced by my personal background. So I was born and raised in the Rio Grande Valley, grew up in a working class home. My father was a city employee, worked as a maintenance person at the Hidalgo International Bridge. My mom worked as a principal secretary for over 25 years at a public elementary school. So many close family friends are either retired or still current educators and professionals who support them. I'm a first generation college graduate, so I understand the burden that our younger generation carries with regard to student loans. I worked full time while completing my undergraduate education. I know the challenges that come with working a minimum wage job, the challenge with living without health insurance. So my background will prove essential to crafting comprehensive and inclusive legislation. My opponent is a Democrat. He does tend to focus on his 30 years of experience in elected offices. I respectfully thank him for his service, but believe that it's time for a new leader with new ideas, someone who's ready to ambitiously pursue new policy progress. So I'm asking those in my district, when they vote this primary season, to go with their first choice on the ballot, Eric Michael Garza.
That's wonderful. So, tell us, what are the top 3 issues that you are running on in your district?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, prioritizing education policy is one of the big ones. I think we can all agree it's a crisis that has been ignored for far too long. I think continuous prioritization of education policy is the most important investment that we can make into the future prosperity, well-being, and resiliency of our state. The impact of that policy, if done correctly, shows in a skilled and knowledgeable workforce, improvement to student socioeconomic status, and a long-term economic growth for communities dedicated to well-educated populations. One thing that I always point out is when you're looking for a home, what is one of the first things that you look for? What school is my child going to go to? So it's so important for communities. So prioritizing education, that begins with schools receiving equitable and adequate funding to serve and support and educate these students, especially the vulnerable and systemically neglected populations. Important to note, District 125 is home to Edward ISD, a school district that is well known historically for struggling with funding. And so, as I mentioned earlier, one of the other big things is making sure that school districts can afford to hire and retain teachers. Retention is so important. One thing I always mention is, we talk about teacher shortages. I think it's a messaging issue. We have to stop calling that. We have plenty of professionals who are well trained to be teachers. What we're missing is jobs that pay them their worth and treat them like the professionals that they are. That's the real lack that we have. You've heard it tonight. Healthcare. Healthcare is a huge issue in Texas. Having access to healthcare is not only a moral imperative, but a strategic move to developing healthier and a more productive and socially just community. From a cost perspective, we have to consider that most people who are uninsured delay seeking care. And so when they do seek care, it's usually more care and it's more expensive to the state who's offering that care, usually at no cost. Prioritizing legislation that expands healthcare and reduces the number of uninsured population of our uninsured population. We do talk a lot about expanding Medicaid. One of the things that's super important to note, while I do support that fully, I think there's absolutely more that this state can do. Even if we accepted the federal dollars that we've put off for so long, the amount of uninsureds that would benefit is still not enough. It's about letting Texans know what options they have under federal programs. I don't know of any state program that currently does that. And even if there is one, it's obviously not enough because of the number of uninsured Texans that we have. So again, I think it's about doing a little bit more than what has already been done. And of course, one of the last things is voting rights. I absolutely support voter registration on election day, online registration, expanded mail voting. And I know that, some people, especially Republicans, are going to find that controversial. And so where I think we can all agree is voting should absolutely be more convenient. There's no reason that we should stand in line in hot weather and cold weather to vote. Think about any other state agency that you go to. When you get your license, you check in, you have a seat, you wait to be called. Think about the technology that exists in just other general areas like a restaurant. You give your number, you wait in a queue, and you're called. Why are we not implementing that technology at our polls? Most of the polls here in my district are at libraries, but yet people are standing outside waiting to vote when they could be inside waiting in a queue. So again, while I do think we can do more to make voter registration easy, at a minimum, we have to make voting more convenient. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. I mean, voting rights are so important and they're really something that's been like at risk, especially this past legislative session. So it's really worrisome what's going on with voting rights. So I agree with you on all of those things. So thank you so much. So tell us really quick, Eric Michael, where can we find you and how best can we support you right now?
Absolutely. So I do have a website, emgfortexas.com. It's actually the same as my social media handles. I am a lot more active and responsive on social media. So Instagram, Facebook, EMG for Texas. It's also my email, emgfortexas@gmail.com. So easiest way to get a hold of me, any of those will work. As far as, if you're willing to help, I could absolutely, like any other candidate, use help block walking. Every weekend I'm block walking. So if you have some time to spare, send me a DM on social media or email me. I will absolutely respond to you, let you know which neighborhood I'm at. And then once it comes to the polls being open, I absolutely need help being there at the polls, making sure that, we're able to contact voters right as they're walking up. Sometimes that makes a huge difference. And so I'd appreciate any help anyone would be willing to offer.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail, and I hope that we get to meet in person soon. So thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.